Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Almost everybody I've talked to over the past 2 days wants answers for the Browns' 43-13 loss to the Tennessee Titans. I'll make it simple. Everybody's at fault, except the referees who called 18 penalties against the Browns, and in my opinion, none of them were bad calls. So let's turn our attention to what could be a miracle, the Cleveland Indians making the wild card game, and with some help, they could even overtake the Minnesota Twins with some help from the Washington Nationals, while the Tribe plays the Mike Troutless Los Angeles Angels. If not, they will be rooting for the Houston Astros to beat Oakland and the Texas Rangers to win a game or two from Tampa Bay. I gave up on the Indians when Jose Ramirez got hurt, but they refused to give up, and you can thank Terry Francona for that. Bud Shaw is here tonight. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year and seen exclusively on Cleveland.com. Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, is with us. Bud, I woke up to the news. We all woke up to the news of Cavaliers play-by-play man Fred McLeod passing away yesterday sometime. Ready, I believe he's starting his 14th season as the Cavaliers voice. And he's, you hear this term a lot. He's a pro's pro, and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah,
what he was.
I was stunned by this news on a couple of levels. I've gotten to know Fred a little bit through playing golf with him, and the one thing you know about him when you see him is that he spends a lot of time keeping in great shape. He's been in the gym for many years now. He always looked good, always looked younger than his age. He was 67, and I was just taken aback that.
Yeah, and a lot of people know his wife Beth, who's a weather meteorologist on Channel 8, right? Yeah, Channel 8.
Yeah, it's funny. I probably spent more time talking to Fred about golf and dogs. He and Beth were very active in dog rescue, and he was a really dedicated golfer. Anybody who's ever golfed with him affectionately points out that he was as hard on himself as a golfer as anybody we know.
And you hear play-by-play guys and color commentary guys, and sometimes the chemistry is not there. The chemistry between Fred and Austin Carr, it was not a put-on.
No, not at all. And he, as you saw people respond to this today on social media, there's so many people in this town. Whether it's Jimmy Hanlon, who I think just tweeted that he was scheduled to play golf with Fred on Saturday of this week, and talked about how Fred took such a great interest in his career. He was the same way with, I believe Anthony Lima of 92.3 posted something similar, and that's the way he always made you feel. He was always interested in what you were doing. Always had a kind word for your work, and he's really going to be missed.
This portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. So Fred passes away at the age of 67. That used to sound old at one time.
Yeah, believe me, I know that. And we know what the Cavs family has been through with Dan Gilbert's health this year and now this. And
well, let's take a look at what the Cavs had to say about this. Their official statement says the entire Cavs organization mourns the loss of the great friend and teammate Fred McLeod, and the Cavaliers, Cleveland and the Cavaliers, was clearly evident in everything that he did in and around the community, and during his more than 1,000 Cavalier game broadcasts. It continues on and says he was a true, heartfelt ambassador for the team, the fans, and the entire greater Cleveland community, and anybody who knew him in any way, shape, or form could not argue with that. So our condolences to the McLeod family, and we're stricken by this. It's one of our own.
Yeah.
When, what we do, and You always have that empathy for people in that situation. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us. Indians take on the Los Angeles Angels a little bit later. They will know the results of the games of interest to them by the time they start playing. Bud Shaw has a commentary. I would love to hear it.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Browns, even though it's a tough transition on a day like this. You know, it's not easy to do what the Browns did in the season opener, and I don't mean crush a city's enthusiasm in just 3 short hours. I mean get called for 18 penalties. They came in all varieties, those penalties: holding, false start, offsides, roughness. When the Browns practiced in Indy for 2 days this summer, the second day was fight-filled. Freddie Kitchens seemed to take great delight in that. It's fair to question now, in my mind, if he and his team came into the season with the wrong understanding of toughness. Toughness was Mike Vrabel and the Titans giving up a touchdown early, then outscoring the Browns 43-7 in a real hostile environment. Toughness wasn't what the Browns showed in the second half. In fact, they looked more like quitters. Kitchens has another opportunity to change the narrative Monday night in New York. We could point out that only one NFL rookie head coach won in Week 1. But that wouldn't excuse how embarrassing the Browns' loss was. Only a win now can erase the memory of the worst head coaching debut since the Browns returned. And I include Chris Palmer's debut in that.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that even with that game, what we saw, I think, was worse, what we saw on Sunday.
Yeah, the score, obviously, in Chris Palmer's first game was 43-0, I believe.
Yeah.
You know,
Tim Couch, they had to put him in to start the second half.
Yeah, they were totally overmatched talent-wise by that Pittsburgh Steelers team. In this case, I think they were the team with the best talent on the field.
Do you agree with me that in a game like that, you can't pinpoint one person? That's a team loss, a team embarrassment. And
yeah.
you use the word, I was going to use it too to get you off the hook. You use the word quitters, which is the worst thing you can say about a professional athlete. And yet I think that's what we saw, at least in the fourth quarter. They weren't going to come back. But you know what? They were still in that game. 3 minutes left in the third quarter. They're only down by 9 points.
Yeah, until the screen pass, really.
Yeah.
And then I think that kind of just sucked the air out of the place and put them really in a bind. Because then I think less is what we saw from Baker Mayfield is him deciding that he's got to try to make great throws in tight windows to come back from something like that. And we know what happened. He was picked off three times.
And I was concerned that he was hurt. He left the stadium with a wrap around it, but apparently he practiced today and didn't have any bandages.
Yeah, the
or
one
anything.
sack in the end zone, I think probably bruised his left shoulder. He got up from that a little gingerly, a little slowly, but I'm sure he'll be ready to go. And I suspect that they're going to have a big bounce back game in New York. I don't think the Jets are a great team by any means, and
blew a game that they
and
should have had.
They did blow a game they should have won against Buffalo, but I think these guys know that they embarrassed themselves. And most times professional athletes, when they embarrass themselves, they respond.
But if you're Freddie Kitchens, do you just go in and say, all right, everyone in this room knows they're at fault or did something to contribute to the loss? Or do you just start screaming? What do you do?
Well, I don't know, because I think he feels somewhat part of the problem in this game. I mean, when there's that many penalties, I think coaches understand that their staff hasn't prepared these guys, whether it's technique-wise or, again, not getting the point across that there's a difference between chippiness at the end of plays and being tough. So I think he holds himself a little bit accountable, and that's why his message to us when we went down after the game the other day was that he wasn't going to overreact. So I think in keeping with that, he probably wouldn't, start screaming.
Right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show, realleslavine@gmail.com. Bud Shaw is with us. Did you know there are over 130,000 winners on Ohio Lottery pick games each and every month? With that amount of winning, try pick 3, pick 4, or pick 5 for chances to win up to $500, $5,000, and even $50,000, and that's twice a day, all from the Ohio Lottery. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. Your picture, your name, your thoughts will be aired, and that's on facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine. When we get back, we'll listen in on Greg Robinson. He addresses his ejection from the game the other day. I don't necessarily agree with what he said, but we'll get a chance to listen in anyway. It was very costly because it cost him 15 yards in the ejection. Then they put Lamb in, and he gets hurt 3-4 plays later. He had 7 different linemen rotating around playing positions they'd never played before. That's not good. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll listen in on Greg Robinson. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
During the play, I was just trying hard, you know, but I ended up bumping into a guy, and he braced himself and pushed back on me as I was trying to make sure the pile didn't fall on me. But as I fell, he was coming forward, kicked him in his helmet. I had no idea I would be ejected, but the referee explained everything to me as he walked me off, and that was the case. It's something you hate to see. I hurt the team, honestly, and I feel like if I can have it back, I would do things differently. But it was basically just a reaction. I couldn't really help myself. Coach, he harps on just being smart and trying to play clean, you know, and that's part of the reason the referees are at our practices. But yeah, you hate to see it, and it's just inevitable at times, you know. Some guys just play with relentless effort, and when you're in tough situations, it's hard to overcome it, but you just got to play smarter and move on.
You feel fortunate that it sounds like you're only going to be fined and not suspended. If you feel fortunate for that?
Well, at this point, I don't have no idea what's going on. If I get fined, I get fined.
Greg, all those penalties aside, the offensive line, how would you assess, you guys gave up 5 sacks in 8 games last year, and 5 sacks in 1 game yesterday. What do you think is different about you guys as a group?
I think last year was last year. You know what I'm saying? We on to the next, and you hate to start that way. At the end of the day, it looks bad on us as a unit, and also it hurts our QB's confidence, you know what I'm saying? So this point moving forward, I feel like Baker should have no doubt that we have his back, and we're going to try to keep him upright as much as possible.
Well, what can be done to make it better?
Just continue practicing the way we've been practicing and try our best to iron out the wrinkles in communication.
This segment of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Appliance. Northeast Factory Direct, which has appliances. Well, they have great furniture and a lot of stuff.
All of those.
All those things. All right. What do you think when you hear this?
Well, I said on Channel 3 last night when I was on with Jim Donovan that I jokingly said that, go easy on the guy. Everybody's had restless leg syndrome once in their life where you just find yourself kicking for no apparent reason. No, I understand he's trying to say it was unintentional or maybe instinctive. I'm not sure what he's saying, but you have to know that if you kick at somebody's helmet, that you're going to get thrown out of a game.
The helmet didn't go. It made it sound like the helmet came out of nowhere and it attacked him.
The helmet did not attack the leg, from what I saw.
Right.
So
how about the 18 penalties? What, were any? The one questionable one might have been the Beckham one, but there's a rule that covers that, and if you go by the new rule, that's a penalty on him.
Yeah, people felt that maybe the first quick screen to him they called a blindside block. I believe Robinson was also called for that.
Right.
That may have been a little dicey, but the Titans threw a similar looking block that sprung Derrick Henry for the 75-yard screenplay. But I think it was a little different in the Browns defensive back in that case had every reason to know it was coming. So I thought that there were a couple there that maybe you would say, or the refs are being a little too vigilant. But for the most part, the other thing, Myles Garrett, swinging at a guy.
Can't do that.
The roughing the passer, taking 3 steps and shoving a quarterback to the ground, you know that they're going to call that. The encroachment, the big guy from the Jets. Help me here.
They're all big.
Defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Sheldon Richardson. That encroachment penalty down at the goal line was a real killer too. So I mean, there were just a lack of discipline, and I know some people feel that doesn't reflect on the coaching staff, but Freddie Kitchens, I think, believes that it does, and I think rightly so in some cases. You don't blame every penalty on the coaching staff, but when you have 18 in a game, and let's face it, Les, there could have been 21 or 22 called. There were 2 on one play on a couple of occasions, right? So they got to pick which one they wanted to enforce.
All right, so think about this. You said 18 penalties, and it added up to 182 yards. If you could have 182 yards rushing in a game, that's pretty good. You've just added 1/3 of your offensive potential.
Yeah, that's why when Kitchens keeps saying, "Hey, let's remove the penalties from this, and we don't really have to do anything else," I get what he's saying because it was such a big number.
That's Butch Davis.
I know that is, but I look back. I've gotten emails from people saying, "Oh boy, I bet Greg Williams enjoyed that game because he would have liked to have been the head coach here and thought he deserved it." And for as volatile and loud and wild and as Greg Williams was, when he became head coach here, his team didn't perform like him as a defensive coordinator.
Right.
They were pretty buttoned down. I think they had 7 penalties was the most they had in any one game. And 65 yards was the most they had in any one game.
Well, that's part of his audition to be head coach.
Yeah, so I mean, his team was pretty well disciplined last year during the last half of the season. So, and there's still a lot of the same guys here. So I would like to think that that's a longer track record than this one game, and that they'll get that under control.
So Baker Mayfield gets sacked 5 times. One of the reasons he had such a good year last year is he didn't get hit very often. So 5 sacks and several hits, and maybe that's what, you said he started throwing the ball loosely. Maybe that's what that does to you.
Could be, and he also is to blame for some of those sacks.
Yeah.
They weren't all offensive line problems. He held the ball way too long in some cases. The one in the end zone, I think he could have gotten rid of before he took the safety. So I know what he's all about is making plays and feeling the pressure in a pocket and eluding it and making a big throw, which he did a couple times in the game. But he has to get rid of the ball more, and he'd be the first to say that.
The thing that was bothersome is all the excitement in the air with the fans and the sellout and the expectations, and they march down the field, and then Seibert misses the extra point. Now, when you lose 43-13, one extra point is no big deal.
Right?
But you could feel, I don't know how much credit you give to the fans there, but you could feel the air come out of the balloons of
A
the
little
fans.
bit, yeah. I think people was like, well, okay.
We had this big competition.
And then Jamie Gillen's first punt is kind of a
Yeah.
short one that has a, fortuitous roll, and people started going, okay, why did we decide to come into the season with, with two rookie kickers? And Gillen ended up having a very good game, I thought.
Yeah,
but,
5 kicks,
yeah.
pretty good. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Somebody asked me the other day about Northeast Factory Direct. They said, is there a fee? Like some of the big stores where you got to pay a monthly membership. That is not the case at Northeast Factory Direct. It's not a club. There are no membership fees, and the people are great. They'll get you help if you want it, and you won't be harassed, I can tell you that. There's no pressure to buy, and they encourage you actually to go around to other stores to comparison shop because they know you're gonna come back to Northeast Factory Direct. It's not set up like the big retail stores when you're not paying for it to be fancy. When you buy something from the big furniture stores, you're paying for their rent, their decorations, furnishings, and so much more on top of the furniture you buy. That's not the case at Northeast Factory Direct, with 3 great locations: West 140th in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and of course Freeway Drive is the new one. That's in Macedonia. Or join them at the website northeastfactorydirect.com. Northfield Park, the place to go for live and simulcast racing. Racing with the 6 p.m. post time on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's all at Northfield Park, and they open early every day for simulcast action from all over the world, all the top tracks starting at noon at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. When we get back, Denzel Ward talks about cleaning up on the penalties, which they're going to have to do against the New York Jets. We'll check that out when we get back. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Just a lot of self-inflicted things happen during the game, a lot of penalties that we just gotta, today got better in practice and gotta work on. Me personally can't hold or get those called on me, and just gotta play better at the end of the day.
What happened to you on this couple of days?
Just gotta get my hands off, I guess. Gotta get my hands off.
I mean, when they were happening, did you think you were
I personally didn't think that they were holding, but the rest did, so I just got to work on my technique and get better in practice, and so I don't have those calls called on me during the game.
And so was that a big emphasis today in practice? Did you hear a lot of that from the coaches about discipline and technique?
Definitely, just a lot during the team meeting that we got to work on all the penalties. He kind of put up all the penalties and showed us how to play better technique on those plays so we could avoid that in the future.
Denzel, how different was practice today after what happened Sunday as opposed to what you guys have been used to practice-wise?
Yeah, just everybody just locked in, just focused, not much playing around, just taking it serious and just trying to get ready for the Jets now.
What do you think Greg Williams' emotions are for this game?
I mean, I know he definitely pumped up, and coming in. He gonna try to beat us, obviously. I'm just hoping, me personally, I could avoid my stupid tackling when going against him. I don't want him talking about me in the media, talking about stupid tackling, so I'm gonna work on that during the game. We'll see.
Denzel, I mean, he's an emotional coach. He, I'm sure, is a little salty that he didn't get the head coaching job here. He made that very apparent in the offseason. Based on what happened Sunday and some of the personal foul penalties that you guys as collectively as a team got, do you think that maybe he's going to tell his guys, hey, if you get physical with them, you stir it up with them, you can draw penalties? Is that something you guys are going to be cognizant of going into this week to watch that?
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Like I said, we're going to work on those penalties. The coach did a good job of putting an emphasis on those penalties and how to have better technique on them. And we just all got to play our role and play our part to avoid that situation in the future.
There's Denzel Ward talking about the penalties. To have that amount of penalties is a pretty selfish thing for the players to do.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, I think it was maybe guys on the offensive line getting a little overmatched and out of position, right?
And trying to save Baker.
Yeah. So, but the other ones were lack of focus, a lot of them, and that's what really hurts. You had all those months leading up to this game thinking that, you know, they were going to be as focused on winning this game as the fans were. And it turned out they weren't.
You're
again.
so negative. I spent my time finding some positive takeaways from that
Oh, you
game.
did? Okay.
Can you think of any before I give you ample proof here?
I thought Odell Beckham had a nice game,
Yeah.
and I thought he showed why he's different than everybody else on the field.
Right.
It's the way he moves, the catch after the run after catch.
Right.
I mean, and Gillen, I thought, had a nice game, but I don't know.
We'll
what we
get
should be
to
talking
that.
about
Let's
the
start
punter.
with Nick Chubb. He had a performance, the running game. There you see it, 17 carries, 75 yards, and 3 receptions. For 10 yards. So they used him a lot.
Yeah, they used him a lot late, which was a little odd. Like
when
they
were
only
down.
had 8 carries in the first half when it was still a really tight game, and I
Right.
didn't quite understand that. But I wondered if it was a product of Freddie Kitchens trying to show people that he can get everybody the ball and keep them happy.
All right, tell me about Myles Garrett and his performance. 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a couple of quarterback hits already. This, from a stat situation, that's pretty good.
He's a victim of his own greatness in a way, because people expect him, if he's going to be the Defensive Player of the Year, you know, they expect him to have a game where he just dominates.
Right.
And
which he'll
that's
do.
pretty good, I think, but it went sort of unnoticed a little bit in this game.
All right, how about your boy Jamie Gilliam? He's now your boy. 5 punts.
I just had an Ancestry.com thing done where I'm only about 8% Scottish, so I don't know how he could be my boy, but
His longest punt was 52. Freddie Kitchens was concerned he might be kicking it out-kicking his coverage, but he didn't on that one. So 3 punts inside the 20. I guess you can't argue with that.
yeah, I was surprised that you didn't show Olivier Vernon's the line.
Which was?
I believe it was the old 0.00 Mr. Blutarski. So I don't believe there were sacks, tackles, hits,
if he had one of any of them,
hurries.
if he had one of any of those stats you're talking about, it would have shown up.
Yeah, exactly.
He was there, right?
Exactly. He was there. He played a lot of snaps. He
Right.
just didn't show up on the stat sheet.
216.
I'm sure he did other good things, though.
21657. Like what? Like what?
No. Filled the gap. How's that?
There you go. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We do have a Facebook question of the day. By the way, before we get into that, I want to tell you I'll be on 92.3 The Fan this Friday, next Monday, and the following Friday. So that'll be from 10 until 2. What was the one positive team you took from Sunday's Browns loss? So we start with Robert Martindale. Nothing. Headed for another losing season.
Wow, he's done with these guys already.
Yeah, game 1. Kevin Malone, that Njoku still can't catch, and Hollywood is an underrated receiver. I like him. Still want to see Taki and Mack play. Other than the O-line, our linebackers are weak. Dennis Davis says the Scottish Hammer was great. When your best player was the punter, you generally lose by 30. Rick May says the Scottish Hammer had a good day punting. He's currently the leading candidate for team MVP. Wow. Mark Haas, I got to watch it at home. Pete Schoen, it can't get any worse, right? Angelo Costanzo, when the clock hits 0. That was a positive takeaway from the game. One
It's
thing
good
we
to
have, we
see
have cynical
Browns
people.
fans are in mid-season
Mid-season form after only one game. There's no question about that. Explore your interests and find a program from Tri-C that puts you on the path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tric.edu and get more information and find out how you can work together with Tri-C. Coming up this coming Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame will open its doors to 6 new members. There you see them. Otis Chapman, John Malloy, Tony Miller, who played on state championship teams in football and basketball, Tom Lucci in tennis, Urban Meyer football, and Rob Moss from golf. Tickets available at 216-241-1919, or you can go to admin@clevelandsportshall.com. Again, that's Wednesday night of next week. And we'll be broadcasting there live from 6 until 7. The dinner starts at 7:30, but we'll do it from 6 until 7. That's at Lander Haven, for the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame. Hope to see you there. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. When we come back, Freddie Kitchens talks about his former colleague. That would be Greg Williams. We'll want to hear that. More Sports and Less Living continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Kind of how special it was last year when you and Greg were able to kind of put your heads together and come up with what you were able to accomplish in the last 8 games of the season.
Greg and I have a bond that will always be that. Anytime you get a group of people and guys to believe in you and believe in what you're doing, it's always special. And we were able to do that. But again, the credit should go to the players because they had to buy in and they had to go perform. So that's how. But to answer your question shortly, I would say yes. But I respect the hell out of Greg. I think Greg is one of the best football coaches in the National Football League, and has been for a long time. It's not like he just woke up and he was there. He's been a good coach in the National Football League. Even going back to going against him at St. Louis when he was in St. Louis and I was in Arizona. I can't say enough good things about Greg.
Freddie, I know you don't like to talk about the past, but the win over the Jets last year, what was that? What did that mean for the fans, the city? And can you kind of expound on your memory of that night?
Well, they had been 20-something games without winning, so I think they were ecstatic to get a win. I think anytime you can win at home, it's a good thing, and it brings the excitement back to the city. All those sort of things. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just it's big because you're coming off a 1-15 year, an 0-16 year, and then you win a game, the third game of the year, I think it was. So it's huge.
You see a lot of rookie quarterbacks, struggle their first games, first season sometimes. What did it say about Baker, the way he came in and gave your offense some juice and really played well?
Yeah, I mean, he's relentless. He's a competitor, just competes. May not always know what talking back then, didn't know really what the reads were and stuff like that, but he just made stuff happen. All right. I don't know. One of the most, one of the best things I can say about a person is just being a relentless competitor, and I think that's what he is.
Here's Freddie Kitchens, a genuinely nice man, and you hope it turns around because you don't want to see him blow up like some coaches have done.
Are you starting a rumor, Wes Levine?
What is that?
That he's on the hot seat?
No.
Okay.
I can't believe, I heard on the radio today, I heard people talking to me and say, what week are they going to fire him? They're not firing him.
Well, listen, I feel the same way I did about Chudzinski in this sense. If you hire a rookie coach and then don't give him time to grow into the job, you're the problem, not that coach.
That's correct.
So I think it's silly that this kind of thing happens. Maybe there are times when you see a first-year head coach and you are reminded of things that he doesn't like in Chudzinski's case, they felt that he didn't ride herd on these players hard enough, and yada yada yada. But you have to give these guys a chance to become a head coach. He's never done it before at any level in his case. So I think he'll be fine. I just, there's a lot more talent on this team than Chudzinski had or any of the other coaches have had since '99. So
and Jimmy and Dee Haslam have really stayed out of it.
They have, and we know that John Dorsey felt strongly about Freddie last year, even though there was another candidate that was up there as a finalist. It seemed pretty obvious to everyone involved that Kitchens was going to be the guy. So, and it wasn't only because they felt good about his relationship with Baker Mayfield. I think they felt good about him in a lot of other ways. So,
do you think, and this is way too early, do you think maybe they made the wrong choice between the two assistants? If they were going to pick Williams or Freddie, which one? It has to be Freddie, right?
I just think that there's a short shelf life with Greg Williams in almost any capacity you hire him in, and I think it's part of his personality. I think sometimes players listen to him early and tune him out late, and I think they pick the better, the coach that they think has a chance of being here 5, 7, 8 years from now.
Didn't Freddie say he's got 10 staff or 10 owners that are calling him, waiting to offer him for a job?
Greg Williams said
Greg
that.
Williams.
Yeah. And
what did I say, Freddie?
You, Freddie. And we see that Greg Williams is a coordinator still, and now doing it for the new
and putting in extra work this week, I would presume. There's nothing he'd like better than.
Oh yeah, I mean, knowing what he's like, that would be, and he does have some insight into the offensive players here and into Freddie Kitchens as a play caller. So obviously he saw it up close last year. It would be interesting to see whether there's a payoff in that.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. How about the sofas they have at the Northeast Factory Direct? They've got sofas and sectionals, the theater seating, kitchen tables, dining room sets, hot tubs, pool tables, so much more, kitchen cabinets. It's the same stuff, if not even nicer, than you're going to find at the big, expensive retail stores. But Alex, the owner, could charge you the same as the big stores, but he doesn't. He buys in volume and he passes all the savings on to you. The main thing he does is pay about 1/10 the rent that some of the big stores pay, and he passes on the savings to you at West 140th in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and the new one on Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia, or go to northeastfactorydirect.com for more information. Sokolowski's University and in business since 1923. That makes them the oldest owned and operated restaurant in Northeast Ohio. And Mike and Bernie's grandparents started it all way back then. Located in Tremont, 5 minutes out of downtown Cleveland. Open 11 to 3, Monday through Friday for lunch and Friday and Saturday nights for dinner, starting at 4 o'clock. When we get back, we'll talk about the Indians. They get set for Game 2. They won last night over the Los Angeles Angels. They'll try to do it again tonight. And we'll talk about that and more when we get back. Bud Shaw with us. More sports and Les Levine, brought to you exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature's Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's check out this date in Les Levine history. Sports history. The Cleveland Rams play their first game way back when. They lose 28-0 to Detroit, but the Barge was not involved at that point.
I was very excited there for a minute. I thought maybe you had played in that game. You said Les Levine history.
Well, they didn't have names on the back of the uniforms back then, so I might have.
Maybe you were in there.
Maybe I was. Hey, by the way, here you go. This date in Les Levine history. 2007. Bud Shaw was on hand to see Les perform two of the greatest golf trick shots in the history of Sleepy Hollow Golf Course. Bud, would you explain what that whole thing means?
Seventh fairway.
Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
What were the course conditions?
It was a little wet that day.
A little wet.
It was a little wet. And you had, as you often do, smoked your tee ball right into the center of the fairway.
Right.
And you pulled out a 5-wood, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And you took a mighty swing.
Yep.
And the ball popped straight up in the
Right.
air, and you caught it in your hand.
Correct. Otherwise, it would have gone directly back to the divot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, which
All right,
is
that explains,
maybe even harder to do.
All right, that explains one trick shot. Tell me what happened then.
Well, you then looked at me and put the ball back down and repeated that same mighty swing and did the exact same thing again. It popped straight up in the air,
Right.
and you caught it. So
I defy anybody to do that.
when I don't know all of the golf rules, but I think when the ball comes in contact with your body, it's a
Right.
2-shot penalty.
All right, so I laid 7 or 9 at that
So
point.
you hit two-shot penalty,
Yeah.
4. You hit 5, 2-shot penalty, 7.
Right.
And I can't remember how the whole ended.
And I'm still
for you.
180 yards from
Yes,
the green.
yeah,
and I
still.
believe I said, as one of my friends says in a situation like that, is just give me a 5.
Yeah, so 2 of the best trick shots I've ever
Yep.
seen, neither of them intentional.
Okay, so what we didn't mention with the pressure on Freddie, if there is a perceived pressure,
Yeah.
Monday night they got a Monday night football game on ESPN, and then the following Sunday, it's Sunday night football on NBC, so the pressure is going to come hot and heavy if they don't turn it around.
Well, certainly, the opponent in that third game is, as we all know, it's a team that went to the Super Bowl
Yeah, the
last
Rams,
year,
yeah.
even though they got a little bit of an assist to get there in the Super Bowl. But it's still a really good team, and certainly I believe your next game after that is a road game against Baltimore, if I'm not
Ouch.
mistaken.
Ouch.
So it's really, Jim Donovan asked me if he said, it's crazy, right, to be talking about Game 2 as a must-win.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's pretty important, let's just say that.
Let's go to the phones. We'll go to Dan, who's in Millbury, Ohio. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Scott. How are you doing today?
We're doing well. How about you?
Good. I wanted to talk about the offensive line a little bit. We were rated number 4 offensive line in regards to pass blocking efficiency at the end of the year last year. And I was wondering if one guy really makes that much of a difference on that right side. What do you guys think?
Well, I think Kevin Zeitler was one of the top players at his position, so I do think that it has a big effect. But I also think that Baker Mayfield was getting rid of the ball a lot earlier last year, and I don't know whether they're running different formations. I don't know if he wants to hold on to it now because he thinks he has these great playmakers at this position with Beckham there and Landry and Higgins and Njoku. But yeah, certainly he held it too long on Sunday, and I think he'd be the first one to say that.
Dan, I think it's dangerous, and I don't mean that as a pun on what Baker Mayfield would say. It's dangerous to make a decision about one game. I think you got to look at this team in the NFL and any team in the NFL. Look at what, Bud, 4 or 5 games. You know, baseball, they say 80, what do they say, 40 games?
Yeah.
I'd say you got to look at 4 or 5 games
And
here.
we know, I mean, to Dan's point, I mean, we know that Dorsey didn't feel comfortable with this offensive line, which is why he was bringing guys in so late in camp.
Right.
And those guys, I suspect, will become the new starter at right guard within a couple weeks once he gets, acclimated. So it's going to take maybe 4, 5, 6 games for these guys to start playing, I think, with some cohesion. And the scary thing is that the first 8 games of this season are where the teeth of the schedule is.
Yeah, if you get by that, you're in pretty good shape, but it's pretty tough to get by that. Anything else, Dan?
No, that's all I had. I
Great to hear from you. Millbury's near Toledo, right?
Yeah, right near Toledo.
Terrific. Thanks for joining us tonight. Last
Thank
night
you.
in
Have a
base.
good night.
You too. Last night baseball action. Oakland trying to fight off the Indians. They lose 15-0 to Houston. They'll take on the Astros again tonight. Tampa Bay is at the Texas Rangers tonight. Let's take a look at the wild card standings right now. And Tampa Bay leads, as you see, by a game and a half. Oakland is there, and then the Indians a half game behind that. And that could change in the next couple of days. And I mentioned it before. You wouldn't think that Cleveland has a chance to overtake Minnesota. But, if Minnesota can lose a game or two before they come to Cleveland this week, who knows what'll happen.
Minnesota's, I don't want to say leaking oil because they're still playing pretty well, but in the last week or so they've lost Michael Pineda to a suspension.
PEDs.
They lost Byron Buxton to shoulder surgery today that will end his season. Listen, the Indians aren't feeling sorry for him after what the Indians have gone through for sure, but I think Cruz is still having some wrist issues. So, this thing isn't over. And I know that sounds crazy, 5 games, right, with how many left to go. But
21, I think.
Well, you have 3 games against the Twins, and if you can go into that 3 or 4 out, and sweep, which is these guys have played the Twins very well.
Yeah,
this
and
year.
it's not unlikely to think at home that they could sweep 3.
Yeah, it's possible. This is a good team. The Twins are a good team, and here's what happens, Les. I think you have to win. The Indians are in a position where when Clevenger and Bieber pitch, they have to win.
Yeah.
And now they have to try to win 2 of the next, 3 games or whatever.
Right, and
when
you
the
said
other guys are starters.
You said Minnesota might be leaking oil. That's a concern for some of the Indians' young pitchers now. They're in a portion of the season they've never seen before. This many games pitched and high-intensity pitching, and every game on the line. So we'll see how they react to that.
I always felt that this was going to go down to the last week, and I have seen no reason to change that.
216-575-0403. Go to try-c.edu for information about Cuyahoga Community College and all of the resources they have for you. Check that out, please. Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. Live racing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Post time 6 p.m. Open early at noon each and every day for simulcast action all over the world. We're coming back one more time. We got some emails to check, some quickies to check, and some final comments from Bud Shaw. More sports and Les Levine seen exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, making his way into WTAM radio. He'll join us tomorrow. We also have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you can't catch us during the show, which is live from 6 until 7 Eastern Time, you can catch us any other time, leave a message, and we'll use it on an upcoming show. And that's the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Birthdays today. This is one of the better birthday dates ever. Wow. Arnold Palmer, born on this date. Roger Maris, Analytics, 1947. Bob Lanier, you drag Lanier and Walton up the court for 50 minutes, 48 minutes to see how you do. Randy Johnson, seen on the left, and Joey Votto. That's a terrific birthday date, September 10th. 216-575-0403. Time for a How Come Quickie. How come Freddie Kitchens asked Odell Beckham to look at his watch to see how many timeouts the Browns had left?
As a clock management guy, that may be one of your better How Come Quickies. That's that's your wheelhouse right
If you remember the situation near the end of the half, when there was a discussion in front of the Browns bench, there was 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. Do you remember it?
I don't exactly, no.
Freddie, once his discussion was over with the referee, he should have called a timeout. Instead, the clock started, and they used up the 10 seconds, which in the 2-minute drill is 2 plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he cost them 2 plays, and I think that's, when you're an offensive coordinator and a head coach, that's where you have a chance to miss on something.
There's a lot to worry about on that.
And I thought that's what happened. All right, only one quickie today. John Patrick did not check in, so the Joe DiMaggio-like streak is over.
Wow.
From John. But
maybe those 5.0s last week
ticked him off.
Yeah.
Mr. Gullible comes through today, though. How come when my new boss told me they have a company 401k, I told him I can't run that far? See, 401k, that's a mileage thing in track. How come I'm so old that now I go to bed the same time I used to go out?
Well, I gave him a 9.0
for the first one.
On the first one,
yeah.
The second one.
Just turn it around. It's
I'm
6.
downgrading him to an 8.0.
Because it could have been an 0.6.
Yeah.
But he wins by default. He wins by default, though.
Yes.
Nobody else showed up tonight.
His parting prizes in the mail.
The Browns lose 43-13, and all the quickie people leave town.
They still haven't recovered.
Wouldn't it be funny if we found out that really Jarvis Landry is Mr. Gullible, and he's been sending us stuff all the time, and now he's ticked off at the Browns?
I walked over to that game from Channel 3 on Lakeside, and that was an atmosphere that I hadn't seen in any previous
What did
games.
You see?
Just walls of people just chanting and carrying on the way to the game.
Right.
Just so excited for what they thought was, what they saw in that first drive.
I wish you could have been here. You came in 1991, right?
Yes.
I wish you could have been here for the 80s, mid-80s, with the Kosar-led team. How much fun that was.
Yeah, and I think I've told the story of meeting, Tony Grossi when we were at the Plain Dealer together, and him telling me in 1991, wait till you see what this town is like when the Browns are good. And I thought he meant, a couple years later.
Right.
So it's now 28 years later,
Yeah.
and I got my first glimpse of it walking to the stadium the other day, and you'd hate to see Jim Donovan said to me last night that sometimes in this town 0-1 can become 0-3 real quick, and it kind of douses the enthusiasm, and you would hate to see that happen in a year like this.
Listening back on the radio broadcast of it, with about 5 minutes left in the game, Jim said, and I applaud his honesty, he said even the first game back, the Tim Couch halftime appearance, he said this is the worst performance of all the opening days, and I certainly agree with him.
Yeah, just from a sloppiness standpoint and the expectations. In '99, everybody's excited to have football back, but nobody expected that to be a good team.
All right, I mentioned in the How Come Quickie Odell Beckham and his watch.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I mean,
$350,000 watch.
I get that Freddie Kitchens isn't going to, draw a line in the sand over something like that with one of his players. But I think it was funny that he just said, "Oh well, as long as they're going to enforce it for everybody, that's okay with me."
What, like everybody's wearing those watches?
Like who have you ever seen? Now that company, Richard Mill, when they have endorsement deals with players, they demand that they wear their watch in competition, which is why you see Rafael Nadal
that's
wear a
different than a
watch in
football
tennis. Bubba Watson wears one of their watches when he plays golf. But they were quick to point out that they don't have that same agreement with Odell Beckham. He does not have a deal with them.
Right.
So he's wearing that all on his own.
He's wearing it gratis.
And I heard him say today that if the league says that he can't wear a hard object, he said, "Hey, it's plastic." Just bought a $200,000 plastic watch, I guess. I just don't understand why, under what circumstances you would want to have it on or need to have it on. Unless you wanted one of those endorsement deals.
In baseball, with the Indians, Sandy Alomar Jr. is the first base coach, and he's got a watch going, timing the pitching, the pickoff move, and all that stuff.
That I get.
All right, what do you think happens next Monday night?
I think they win. Like I said, I think when you embarrass professional players, especially when they have talent, they generally come back and perform well. And I think this team is better than the Jets, so I'm going to pick them to win that game.
Don't you find it interesting that all of the national people, many of them who were for the Browns, for Baker Mayfield, coming out of the woodwork now to say, "See, I told you so"?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's writing them off and saying they're going to be 7-9 this year or 6-10. I just think that there was a feeling that they were this overhyped team, and I think we saw a little bit of what it's like to be the team that gets circled on the schedule as opposed to the team that does the circling all the time.
Correct.
And we heard it in the words of some of the Tennessee players, that they thought that these guys were getting a lot of premature, acclaim.
Okay. So you're picking a 43-13 win?
Not that big of a win. I don't think it. I still think it's, the Jets also, it's hard to beat a team at home when they've lost a game. Certainly the Jets
lost a game they should have had.
They lost a game they should have had against Buffalo. They're probably desperate also to not go 0-2.
Right.
But I just think overall, I think Beckham's going back to New York. He's going to want to have a huge game there, and I think he's capable of doing it.
You think the Jets are trying to get revenge for the Joe Namath loss at Cleveland Municipal Stadium on the first Monday Night Football game?
That's probably not on their minds.
Homer Jones returning a kick.
I did just see, though, where the Jets made a trade with the Patriots for wide receiver Demaryius Thomas.
Oh.
So whether he has enough time to get it indoctrinated into what they're doing, they're trying to give Sam Darnold weapons.
All right, tomorrow night, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, WTAM Radio. Bud will be here. We're going to make a switch next week. You'll be here next Thursday night.
That's right.
We will see you then. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan on the next two Fridays, as well as the Monday in between. That's from 10 until 2. I'll be in with Andy Baskin in place of Jeff Phelps for that time. Yes, sir. How many times?
You're not getting away without picking the game on Monday. You made me pick it.
Yeah, I think they win semi-comfortably. 10 points, maybe.
Okay. There you go.
The Browns, I'm talking about.
Yeah. I assumed that.
Great job by Bud Shaw, as always. We'll see you tomorrow night with the D-Man Dennis Maniloff. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.